It's me again. In the last presentation, I did a summary of the activities you did in the classroom, and we saw some of the principles of language awareness, and also we study the importance of contextualization when we are teaching a language, right? So this time I'm going to present the classroom you observed in the YouTube video, and we are going to analyze the different parts of the process of the class. So let's start with the first step, or the first phase of this class. Okay, so the topic of the class was trips. So the class has different moments, different phases. So the first is contextualization, and in this phase of the activity, children play the role of immigrants in a well-known episode of the history of the United States known as The Pilgrims, which tells the journey of immigrants from Europe to America. So we're going to watch that part of the video. Remember, this is contextualization. It's very important, this part of a class. Okay, so as you can see, what teachers are doing is that they are placing the class in one specific setting, one specific context, one specific situation. They just didn't arrive to the class and say, okay, well, class, today we are going to learn the simple present, and they started writing on the board. Or today is the present continuous, or we're going to study vocabulary, parts of the body. Or, well, they first contextualized. You can notice this is very important. Obviously, it's in this situation, this class is different because it's the mother tongue, the first language. In your case, you probably have to take a different role and leading more the activities, but the point is that you have to contextualize, put everything into a context, into a situation, because it's like you are preparing the mind, yes, the brain of the children to what they have to do. You are using vocabulary, and they are exposed to the situation, to the language, to the context in which they will have to produce in another moment of a class. All right, so they are starting to get in contact with not only the language, but also the situations, those aspects of the culture, of the social situation, in this case, in those other aspects of history related to what? To trips, because that is the topic of the class. Okay, great. Now let's go to the next step of a video, right? This is the other part of the video, and this is low challenge or preparation. Still, we are preparing the main activity, or the high challenge, or the main task. And in this case, what teachers do, they ask and answer questions about what? About what they just did. Yes, about the play, we can call a play, but also about the experience of the children related to trips. Remember, do not lose that. The topic of the class is trips. Okay, so let's have a look at the other part of the video.
Okay, now we have experienced the journey of the pilgrims going to the wide dark sea, and now we have this book with some questions regarding the journey. Boys and girls, have you ever had to leave your home or country? Yes, I have.
Yes, I have when I went from Ethiopia to America, and I was excited to go there to go to Olympics, and I'm still mad because I have to leave my country that I was born in.
What were your reasons for leaving? Reasons for leaving your home country and going to another? Ladies,
So we can have freedom.
you have freedom. Cynthia, to start out in life. You're good. Okay, that's one of the next question. How did the crew feel about leaving their friends and school? Has anyone ever lived in one place and had to move to another? How did you feel? Explain your feelings. How did you feel? Yeah. Dr. Grandma, let's see what you want to move. Okay, very good. Honey?
When I left my uncle, I was sad because I wasn't gonna see him.
Let's go to the next question. When the pilgrims arrived on land, what activity, chores, or job do you think they had to organize to get everything done? Yes, Anna? They had to find a place to settle. Very good. They had to find materials to their new home. Very good, lady.
They had a go.
Okay, that's enough. So what are the teachers doing here? They are preparing again. They are asking questions about the children, and these questions are related obviously to the previous activity, to the play they did, but also they are preparing the activity, the next activities, I say, the next task, which is the most important. And if you notice, in all moment, they are having visually contact with the questions. So this is another way to prepare children. They can start saying the vocabulary, for example, in this case the questions, so they can have start having a relation with what they have to do. I will insist on that obviously it's different in Mexico than teaching English in Mexico than in the United States. In this case, this is a native language, but obviously you can involve children in a different way, in a different moment. But the point is that you involve them, make them participate, and play an active role in the preparation of the activities. Okay, and this is the high challenge, where they have to do the main task of the class. Okay, in this phase of the activity, children are asked to plan a trip. Okay, so this is the organization of the task. Children are asked to work in pairs or small teams. They use authentic materials as models. This is very important. Children have to have a model. In this case, they use some brochures. The teacher gives instructions glued on the board, so they have visually. You can write it on the board, or you can have them prepared in advance. But it's important that they see what you are explaining. The instructions have to be there, so children have to see the instruction. Children see examples of language aspects such as grammar, vocabulary on brochures. Remember, they have a model, so they can see the model, they can see examples, how to use them. And this is very important because they are using authentic language. What is authentic language? Authentic language is the language that you can see, you can actually see in real situations. In this case, a module, but could be, for example, the story of a newspaper or the article of a magazine, the notice of in the bus stop, for example. So this is the language that you usually use in real situations. Okay, so that is what is called authentic language, and also authentic materials because the brochures are real. Okay, and based on that grammar and vocabulary model, children plan the trip. This is very important. Okay, you're going to see how they go, take the brochures, and based on that, they start planning their trips. Okay, and teachers mingle around, working as facilitators. This is another important part of the process. Okay. Children are not working alone. They are always helped by teachers. Okay, let's have a look at the video.
Doing a plan by planning a trip. Okay, now we have already experienced how the children went on their journey, and we know we all have experienced some similar journeys too. So now we're going to plan a trip. Okay? What I need you to do by table to go to the Social Studies Center and pick up any brochures that you need to work by calling by table. Let's start with table 3 first. Pick up your brochures. Start writing out your plan, a trip. What you need to do, class, is by place where you're going, packing a list, the trip activities, and your lesson time transportation. Let's do that first on the green sheet. And if you need any help, raise your hand. And you will space. Now let's find the next word. List. L-I-S. Good job. So the next one, fish on the line. Okay. Let's go over the airplane. Airplane. Three suitcases, or two suitcases. The two suitcases, put your name on it, and then we'll time it. And we'll finish. Make it a capital B. Alright? I see some nice posters. Really nice. Good.
Okay, great. So there are very interesting things to notice in this video. Certainly students had to plan a trip, but if you notice, they were not alone. All the time there were many different things around them which helped them. First of all, the organization of the task. It was organized. It was not just at random. Okay? If you notice, brochures were already in a place in the self-activity center or something like that. The instructions were very clear on the board. There were very clear specifications. They need to have a budget, for example, and all the things that they had to include in the plan. And if you notice, they just had to complete using vocabulary, grammar, from the model, which was the brochure. Again, they are using authentic materials, authentic language to produce something by their own, and is in this process where they are going to learn. Okay, so they are learning by their own, yes, but with the help of the teachers, because the teachers have planned everything around them, prepared everything around them for them to take everything they need in order to learn. Okay, very interesting, and a different way of understanding the learning and teaching process, right? So let's do a summary of the principles and that we could see during this class. For example, learners discover language by themselves. Yes. Why? Because they were using the language they needed in order to complete a task. And it is in this process of completing, of using the resources around them, where learning is going to take place. Learners learned best while effectively engaged in the activity. Yes, completely. They were completely engaged from the beginning to the end. They were their main characters. They were the center of the class. They were the center of the activity, and they were engaged throughout the whole process. Learners notice from themselves how language is typically used. Yes, they could notice because they had the language in the brochure, the language on the glued on the board, so they could notice and learn things by their own. Learners develop a mental attribute through paying motivated attention to language changes. Yes, they had to mentally work. Remember, this is one of the characteristics of language awareness. The mental process is there. I will insist on this. They are not like empty vessels that they need to be filled by the teacher. Just passive. No. They have to work mentally, using their mental skills to do something, to develop something, to produce something. In this case, a plan. Learners have to convey meaning to develop growing insight into the way language works. Yes. To convey meaning means to understand what it is, something. Yes. To find the meaning of something. But to understand what is happening, it has to happen something inside of you. Yes, it is in that moment when you say, so this is the way this grammar rule works, or so this is the way you spell this word, or this is the way you pronounce. So that moment of it's an insight. Yes, and this insight that grows inside of you helps you as a learner to convey meaning. Learners acquire the language through an experiential process, definitely, okay? They were involved in experience. All the time they experience the process, if you can notice. Learner do tasks to evidence the learning process, definitely. What was the task? They had to plan a trip, yes? And it was throughout the process of designing or choosing the language or choosing what was the content of a class, organizing the plan, working collaboratively. It was throughout this process. And at the end of all this, they are going to produce something. In this case, was a plan. It is written communication, yes, and they are producing written communication, which is the main objective of language awareness, to produce the language. Now, let's see it from the side of the teachers. Teachers are learning facilitators rather than knowledge transmitters. That's true. Yes, they facilitate everything around children for them to learn, and they didn't do just the job as transmitters of knowledge. Teachers help learners discover aspects of a language through an organized lesson. This is very important. Yes, you have to have the lesson organized. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess and it's going to be out of control. So if you notice, the step before the lesson takes place is very important, because you have to imagine everything in your head, how exactly is going to happen, what materials you need in every part of the lesson. And this is exactly what you're going to do for this part of the course. This is what you have to do. You have to plan language awareness lesson, language awareness lesson. So it's very important to have everything in your head from the beginning to the end, how exactly it's going to happen, what you're going to do, what children are going to do, what materials you're going to need for them to do it. Okay? Teachers prepare tasks and materials in advance to help learners discover aspects of a language. Definitely. Preparation is key. Okay? Nothing is left at random. Teachers implement scaffolding strategies to support learning. Yes, very important too. If you notice, all the resources around is part of a scaffolding. So scaffolding is all that the teachers use to help learners. You can see like scaffoldings, you can see like escalators, and you are helping learners to take a step ahead, step up, and you are helping them to go up. So what you're going to do, what strategies you can use to scaffold well. If we study what teachers did, well, they did many things. They prepare all the questions, for example, at the beginning, asking questions, helping them to reflect and analyze the situation. Then they prepare the brochures. Then they prepare all the instructions for them to follow and do the plan. They prepare all the materials with the content of the plan on the board, and children just look at just turn their faces to the board, and they had everything there, just ready for them to use them and to use them and to do their plans. So all that around, all those sources around children, are strategies of scaffolding. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very much.